Hey, Timmy. Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the LCO. We're getting ourselves ready for game number 2. And, yeah, we're just waiting to see really how this one all comes to a close, because as it started, it was a case of Ion, maybe a little bit worried, maybe a little bit risky as to are we falling behind, what's going on, but then as soon as the mid game came around, a couple of good scoops, a couple of good isolated kills, and then suddenly, yeah, Ion was just laughing with it.
Yeah, even though Ion did end up winning that game, I think we got to talk about like the Kanga carries. I think they were both doing a really good job. You know, staying even, or like even creating pressure, winning lanes. I think that they were doing a good job in the early game. It's just that transition in the mid game that really catches off a lot of rookie players about like, you know, how do like I optimize, you know, my farming, like keep my CS per minute up on the side lanes while, you know, not falling down to ganks.
That's the question. It's always a bit of a convoluted topic as to how can you really min-max all of these different points of pressure and priority, and yeah, act accordingly with all that. Let's see, because Ion for the second game in a row are going to get to utilize the blue side. We'll get to see if any of these bans change, because the Skarner was let through, the Caitlyn was let through, the Jhin obviously was a first pick priority for Ion, which I would imagine, unless there's like a reactionary ban from Kanga, probably is still going to be the same as well.
Yeah, also Ion has decided to ban away the Viego. They probably obviously think that 9God is a bit too proficient on that, and maybe they think that like he's not too good on other champions and we just want to get him off like his comfort.
Certainly want to try and make sure that, well, if the Viego and Lee Sin is out of the picture, what else is he going to default to? Is it going to be another carry champion, or is he going to be conforming to the competitive meta of, you know, you've got to play your Sejuanis, your Maokais, your Zins as well, and not earn your stripes, but essentially, you know, keep up with all the different comps that are available out there. You'd like to certainly see something a little bit more restrained and refined from Kanga, right? As opposed to saying we have all these carries, let's see who can pop off more. I mentioned before, I'd love to see Wood on the Aatrox, but certainly has a lot more up his sleeve. They're really considering what this next ban could be, even cracking up. So maybe it's just like a Teemo ban for all we know.
Also, okay, it's not even a ban, but something I did want to bring up, since 9God is getting banned out here, and we're seeing his, you know, his Lee Sin and Viego being taken away. He's a very good AP jungle player, and I think that, you know, if he does get access to like the Lilia, to the Karthus, and whether, you know, Sovereign can play like the AD mid laners to enhance that, you know, that is something that we could see.
Certainly is, and you know, speaking of AD mid laners, we certainly know that you know, Jovi is also in that same category of not being afraid to bring that one out to play. We've seen the Yasuo, we've seen the Yone, the most go-to classics, if you will. But yep, the lobby has disconnected, so we shouldn't be too far away from jumping back in. Just waiting for that one to get all set up and sorted. But I suppose back to that previous point, obviously we didn't get all the bans, but during the regular split compared to a playoff game, what is your sort of take on what you prefer? Because obviously we know during like a BO3, BO5, you have a lot more leeway to switch things up. But do you like the salty run back during like a regular season game, just like the extra reps on stage?
Oh, definitely. Like as a pro player, if it was up to pro players, like every single series would be a best of 5. You know, it's like purely for like a efficiency, like viewing experience, that like we aren't seeing like 5 games between every team like all the time, because everyone just wants more reps, more experience. Like this is the most important thing. I also think that in the like early parts of the season, as a team, you really want to be playing those champions that you're a bit like risky about. You know, you want to show teams that like I can play this champ that you considered that maybe I couldn't. We heard Bio brought up an interview earlier, like when he versed Tomasino last season, didn't think he could play the Rumble, so he blind picked the Jax, and like he obviously like pulled it out, and like now that's in his head for like when they verse again in playoffs or something. It's like, oh, I need to ban this Rumble because he showed he was proficient on it in the early parts of the season. So it's all about, you know, demonstrating to like the other teams like what you can play, what you can't, like not what you can't play, but just you know, try to show everyone that you're a bit better than maybe you are.
Yeah, which is always, to me, a funny talking point, because it's a case of we want to show that we can play everything and that we have the biggest champion pool in the world. Then it gets to playoffs and we're playing like the same comp because we want to hide our strats. It's almost like the tides turn very quickly towards when these games actually have much bigger you know, consequences and much more of a bigger impact, especially when the patches change as well, right? The ability to very quickly get up to scratch with, okay, suddenly this champion, I mean, it might just have like +5 AD, and now it's like S tier because people realize, hey, this champion's actually not too bad.
Yeah, actually what happens a lot of the time is like these pseudo buffs just make people catch on to champs that are already good. Like I remember a very long time ago, Twitch got his visual update, no buffs whatsoever, and he became the most broken champ on the patch, considered none. Just because, you know, people started playing and be like, wait a second, this champ's really good.
He looks good. guys, yeah, I feel good. My character looks good, so I'm going to play it good. Sometimes it can just be as simple as that, as we do finally, thank you for bearing with us, get ourselves back into the lobby to close out the second game in the series with Ion leading it at this stage. They are going to run back with the Jhin. Their bans have only changed in that they've let the Syndra go through, which will then be picked up.
Yeah, like knowing Sovereign, like formerly Hidden Raven and Solo Q, like I know this is like his champion. He's always been like the Syndra Taliyah guy to me, so it's good to see like he's going into game 2. He's like, all right, give me my comfort. Like they haven't decided to ban it this time. Like he's very happy. They've got the Jinx as well, so like I have to see if like this is Yojin's kind of style, like where he likes to play these like scaling hyper carries instead of like the more so lane bullies in Caitlyn or the Jhin that we just see Six keep prioritizing.
Yeah, which does definitely give us some clear definitions of what both teams are looking to go for, right? You were kind of critical of Kanga beforehand, having not really enough protection to allow like 2 key carries like this from Kanga to really pop off. Obviously for Ion, though, they're going to say, well, that's quite actually convenient for us. If you're going to make it a very much a 2-carry comp, then we have all these champions that can pick you. The Vi, the Ahri, the Jhin. Keep locking it in because we have the tools to answer.
Yeah, I love this answer from Ion. Like the Ahri Vi was extremely strong, but with the Tahm 12 here, this is the reason why it fell out of meta. It was so good into these immobile carries because you can't really do anything. Like as the Syndra, the kill range from Vi coming over the wall and just ulting you is insane. But the Tahm Kench, like the Eat, it just completely denied in team fights. And the reason why the Vi Ahri combo, which was so like crushing in like I think it was like split 1 of 2023, just fell out of meta because like this one pick just completely denies their engage. And like Vi and Ahri, if they do not snowball, just will not do the same kind of DPS or like crowd control or just pretty much any output that like a Syndra plus another jungler will.
Yeah, it just feels really bad, right? Your entire comp and combo, for that matter, is just completely nullified by a single ultimate ability. Thinking that's kind of cool, that's kind of balanced. So, yep, maybe trying to not only time the summoners, but also timing, okay, when does Tahm have Eat? Because we need to play around the ability to not counter by that. But a whole bunch of those pocket picks are being denied. You talked about the Rell last game, the recency bias, but also the Pyke too. So some players will get to have their fun in the sun. Others, though, not so lucky.
Yeah, there are a couple players in the LCO who have like these really special champs that I hope we do get to see in the future. But I think 225 Pyke is definitely one of them. I think it's a joy to play with in solo queue when he's on your team, and I hate bursting it. Because, you know, it just ends up in your lane and like, I don't know why, but if you don't play with game sound on... Well, hold on, Skibby.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh.
Do we finally get...
Yes! Skarner is in the Rift. Let's see where it goes. Is it going to be as simple as saying it's a jungle pick? I don't think it's going to go support, but could it be a laning champion? Do you think Warden with it in his arsenal? Maybe. It's kind of, but like, I don't know.
This is really tough because like part of me is like, okay, Wudon, he's a carry player, like he's not a tank player. And then on the other hand, Nine God, same thing. Like he's not a tank player. I wouldn't really want to pair Skarner with the Syndra. I think that like the lack of the damage there and like the fact that you can just go Merc Treads is just way too much to deal with. But we do see the Camille come out, which is like a really good answer into tanks, but I think he'll really struggle into team fights against the Tahm Skarner combo with like all the CC and like self peel from the Eat and this disruption going on from the Syndra. I think it's going to be very hard if he doesn't get ahead and be able to play side lane as well.
Well, that's the question, right? It's a case of if your comp is built to do true 5v5s, well, we've got the pick potential with our free man. We've then got the Rakan to try and really add that extra level of like, you can't devour because you're CC'd. If that's not working, if we're just straight up losing these fights, at least you've got the split push potential of a Camille that may never group up into a bit of a reverse Wudon, if you will. As Kanga looking to round out their comp, what is their 5th and final pick? How do they want to try and bridge this all together and find that winning recipe to try and get a draw?
Wak Wak. Never go past trusty Wak Wak. Yeah, I think the Renekton is a really good pick here, honestly. It kind of nullifies like because you would be scared about like the Vi gank pressure onto your lane. Renekton doesn't really care about that. Like he's going to pop the Dominus and just stand and deliver. I think that it's also a really good matchup as the Camille. This was traditionally a counter, but like over time, like I think the matchup has changed. You know, back in the day, you would consider like never blind pick Jax, never blind pick Camille because like you don't want to verse a Renekton, and as a Jax you want to verse Kennen. But over time, and with like the skill level of the game growing, like these champs have both been blind picked a lot, and I think that Camille does much better to Renekton than it did in the past.
That makes it kind of exciting because, as I touched on in the first game, these were our 2 most explosive solo laners in the league last split, right? 18 solo kills for Wudon, 13 for Doraemon. So first and second, there was nobody really holding a torch to them. And with a matchup like this, as volatile as it is, surely this is the game where we're showcasing our mechanical brilliance in a true 1v1.
Yeah, I would like to see both junglers put time into the top lane. I think that obviously you want to use your Ahri Vi duo, but like that's not so much like until like level 6 where it really comes online. I would like to see Vi, you know, path and enable your top laner to like have a good time in like the very volatile matchup. Same from the other side. I don't think like much time should be put into bot lane, honestly. I feel like that's just going to be a farming handshake just like it was in game 1. I think both teams are happy if that is the case, and I would like to see, you know, just a lot of pressure placed on like the mid and top side of the map.
Absolutely, and it almost feels like we've had a theme of the day, right? Like yesterday it was all a case of we want to try and set up for these objectives, we just happen to fight before we even make it towards the dragon. But then today it's all been like AFK until that dragon is there, then we do everything we possibly can to guarantee that we win the fight, and our grand reward is that objective thereafter. But this feels certainly a case of, okay, we've had that you know, nervy introduction, we've figured out what it feels like to play a stage game now, where you know we're used to the public test realm of, you know, this is all very different to what I'm used to on the regular live client. So surely this is a time where you get to showcase, this is the reason I'm here on this stage, is I've played these champions, I've got this many reps to make it to high elo. That's a case of showcasing what I'm about.
Yeah, definitely. I also, like, as you mentioned reps, I'm curious to how much experience Nine God has on Skarner, because like this champ is pretty much like, he's permaban in solo queue. I assume a lot of scrims it's permaban because people just don't want to verse a champ they consider like too OP or like just, you know, game warping. It kind of works as like a pseudo like Rek'Sai, which also scales better. You know, it has that like weird unique gank pathing with the ES, you can go over walls, but also like a really, really good scaling champion because you have access to so much disruption in team fights, and like the 3-man Skarner ulti is going to do a lot of work against diving champs coming out of Ion.
It's certainly true, and I think you know, the only caveat you're hoping for is that people don't just walk into a 3-man Impale and just make it look ever so broken that they're like, oh, yeah, okay, this champion is like a must pick now as a result. Because the one thing that throws me off about the new Impale is that cast time, right? The ability to actually, to some degree, outplay it. It's not like that point-and-click mouse ult.
Well, most of the time when it comes to like the cast time, you try combo with your other abilities, because like you try E someone into a wall to stun them, and then you would like combo that with your ult, so it's pretty much unavoidable. And you can also like pseudo, you know, guarantee it as champs are diving onto your carries. Like, you know where they're going to be. You just throw an ult on top of your carry, and then like either you continue to dive the carry and get suppressed, or you just stop diving them and your carry's happy to begin with.
That's true. It's a worthwhile ultimate either way. The cooldown certainly finding a little bit of value. Small delay of us getting into this game. We had a rehost originally to get ourselves back into the lobby, and then we've had another one to get our game started. So bear with us as we continue the talk show, as opposed to the gameplay, which I'm sure you're all chuffing at the bit to witness, because this will be the first Skarner, the reworked Skarner on the Pro Play stage, given it is patch, what, 14.10? So everywhere in the world can look to see, okay, how does Nine God perform on this one? You mentioned before that he is a carry-focused player. Would you expect a much more DPS-oriented build? Obviously, there's a whole host of different ways you can approach this, but I've seen it usually be, what, Heartsteel and then do whatever you like.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely, like, he's a true tank. Like, you don't want to build carry on Skarner. Like, he doesn't, his kit all relies upon, like, health. Like, enemy health, your health. Like, he's all percentage-based. There's nothing about his kit where you want to go, like, I want to build a Triforce and, you know, be a bruiser. He's not like that old, like, weird Skarner top where you can go semi-bruiser and, you know, still be relevant, or go, like, full AP. He's definitely a true tank. He still does an insane amount of damage. Like, I versed, like, why not in solo queue? Like, when he gets that Heartsteel and just, like, starts proccing that and slamming you into walls, the damage is very surprising, so it might catch some people off guard. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, between that and the grasp, you are definitely adding a lot of HP every single time you get a chance to showcase and shine. But I suppose outside of the Skarner, let's talk a little bit about these comps as a whole, just to keep the viewers fresh in their mind as to what we're, I suppose, approaching. We discussed for Ion a very strong pick comp, which certainly could be nullified by the Tahm Kench. They tried to round it out with a Rakan to act as a little bit more disruption, and a Camille to try and play for the split push if things do go a little bit awry in the fights. But for Kanga, are you happy with their comp in comparison, or what's your take?
I would definitely give the scaling advantage to Kanga. I think that, like, unless Ion gets particularly far ahead, like, this Camille won't be able to pressure the side lane and win like a straight up 1v1. In the 5v5, I think Kanga's comp is much easier to execute, and like their champions just scale better in general, like in the Syndra vs Ahri position, and also like how they work in the team fights. I just think the dynamics make this a bit too hard for Ion to scale happily into a 5v5. I expect Ion to try like play pretty aggressive early. Not to say like there is no hope for them this game. They have a lot of tools to be able to snowball this game. If Camille gets ahead, it's pretty much lights out. Like both Syndra and Renekton cannot deal with that champ on side lane if she gets ahead. Ari and Vi ahead, very easy to get picks. It's just when that game comes down to the 5v5 from an even state, it's very hard for Ion to just do damage to the correct people.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a coin flip at that point, right, as to who has the better ability to outperform to try and break the deadlock. I suppose also in that same comment, it's a case of maybe they've taken a note out of your book, right, where you are screaming for extra CC, and I think we've got an abundance of it this time as opposed to the free-for-all, which was last game.
Yeah, I don't want to be like a CC merchant a bit too much, but like it's just something that I prefer. Like I would always, like playing with my teammates in the past, would say like, okay guys, someone always needs to be the CC guy. Like maybe that was me, like playing Twisted Fate, Galio, like Lissandra, just like having pseudo frontline, just pseudo CC. It's just very, very nice, ease of execution.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if we're saying you need to go like the full wombo combo, like a, what is it, like a Vladimir Malphite Sona, like everybody flash and ult and pray. Although we have seen that in the past, right, and that has won when they've been down, what, like 10, 15k gold, which is an absolute crime, but definitely you want that ease of execution, that ability to get yourself into a comfortable position. Well, here are the drafts that we were alluding to back on your screen once again to get yourself familiar with. And yeah, second game in a row now for Styx on this gen. Very impressive, almost flawless, you would say, game one. He's going to be going into Yojin that's opted for the Jinx as opposed to the Caitlyn. So a little bit less lane aggression, a lot more focus on the team fights. We were mentioning that bot lane should be a little bit of a sleeper and that the attention should go elsewhere as we pan our way through Summoner's Rift and get ourselves ready for the final game of week one.
Yeah, something else to touch on, which we'll see in the early game, is that the Jinx Tarm doesn't really have a lot of lane pressure onto the Jhin, so we might see 225 going and opting into some roams. He might go pressure the top side of the map with his jungler and link up, because I think that Styx would be pretty happy, you know, being in some positions where he can 2v1, because it's just very easy to just flash like the Tarm W. Once you flash that initial damage, if they want to go for a dive, it's pretty hard to execute.
It certainly can be very hard to execute as we get to see the Baron Pit, as beautiful and majestic as it is. I'm missing some of these LCO banners though. That is what I do miss. You know, when we see the international tournaments and you've got like the MasterCard here and everywhere, you're thinking, where's our little LCO banners? That's what makes it feel ever so special down here. But soon, yes. One day we will get amongst the stars of being considered, you know, O's can actually go to Worlds, but we are going to have to get through teams like PSG, which I tell you what, when I saw them taking off teams, taking games away from the LPL, I was thinking, it's a little bit doomed.
That was honestly very nice to see. I think it was like a bit of like a boon for O's to know that like the team that we're really struggling against consistently can take games with these top regions, the best teams in the world. So I think that like it's a little bit of a pat on the back for O's to know that like, you know, we're not out of it. Like we're just versing these like absolute superstar rosters.
Yeah, we're certainly not out of it, but we are going to have to get through some absolute weapons if we want to try and showcase the Raise Your Koalas on the international stage anytime soon. Well, thank you everybody for bearing with us. Took a little bit longer than you'd usually expect to get ourselves back into the game, but we are here finally, and we get to pay homage to a bit of a skin check. What are we ranking this one? We had the Dragon tier list before. Skarner check?
It's a tough one because I think the base Skarner skin after the change is really cool. But you know, like this was like the tried and true classic, like pre-Skarner rework skin. It was just like really awesome. I think it makes his sting is a bit too small. That's probably like a really important thing. I think that the I can't remember. It's like the sand Skarner, you know, like the red, the orange one. Like he's got big stingers. You know, that he looks powerful.
So what you're saying, Tally, is size does matter.
Size does matter, guys.
Damn.
As much as they don't want to tell you about like your jungler size not mattering, it matters.
It matters. How big is that smite button? Oh, there you go. I mean, we're figuring out things on the fly here as we get to laning phase. No crazy shenanigans with lane flips just yet. You wouldn't expect it, really, in this case, and you'd be a little bit disappointed if the Camilla Renekton said, you know what, we don't want any part of this. And I would really hope that we spent a fair bit of time panning towards their lane. But for the meantime, looking at bot, as Cadence was waiting in the bush, looking to see if anything could happen. And a pretty standard affair.
Yeah, Doraemon did opt in for the grass, which is like the traditional Camille keystone in this matchup. You can't really go for the Conqueror because you have a bit of a rougher time in the laning phase and you really need that extra bit of auto damage on the trades. It's really like common to see like Renekton get pushed because like the Calder Meek is going to AoE the creeps as you trade, whereas Camille is going to like always aim to just, you know, auto, tactical sweep and hit on the Renekton. Not so much getting the creep pressure there.
It's been a long time since we saw the Camille as prevalent as it was. I know for a time there was a case of, you know, first picking Renekton. We were just that confident that we would win or lose in the first 15 minutes. It didn't happen. We'll treat it like a scrim game. Go next. It's a best of 5, whatever. It is what it is. But we've certainly come a long way since that time. Do you think Camille still falls into the same issue though, where it's a case of you need like the, the Hydra, the Ravenous Hydra, you need those 2 items online before you can really start to take over?
Well, Camille to me has always been like, it's like the hyper carry of Bruisers. Because like when you think of Bruisers, it's like the trifecta of like Irelia, Fiora, Camille. But like Camille to me is like, there is no counterplay to this champion when she has like so many items. Like your carry is going to take a Cho'Gath ult to the head in like back to back within 3 seconds. And like she becomes such a problem as she scales. And like most times where I see Camille, you either lose the game early because you've just been abused so hard in like maybe a bad matchup, or like the Camille hits a point where she has 4 items and she just, Cho'Gath ults your mid lane out of the game.
And I think at that point you get a little bit confused as to how do you actually respond. You can't win the team fight, you can't win the side lanes, so what do, guys? We just sit in base and say just end? Like, it hits that point of no return as Caitlyn's in a bit of trouble here. Actually, Yojin going for a very early base to pick up the Cull.
Yeah, Yojin went for the 3-wave crash, like the old cheetah recall, and just picked up the Cull, so he's in a really good position with the wave bouncing out here. Have to see how Doraemon decides to navigate this, because Nightgod can avoid the ward with his E. Does show on it though, so now Doraemon does know his top side. His wave is pushing out, so he's either going to try to commit to the crash here, or just like, absorb the experience while avoiding the gank.
I am glad we talked about that, because I was going to say, well, how do you say the E? And I look at it and go, Ixtal's Impact. If I say that too quickly, I'm probably going to stutter.
Guys, it's E, okay? I'm sorry. It's just E. I know some abilities, but, some are quite hard. Like, I'm pretty sure Emilio's Q is just too much for me. Like, if I see that, like, I'm not playing an Ultra Mega Fire kick.
That, to me, is always the bouncy ball, and for Skarner, that's just his burrow, okay? Skarner has become Rek'Sai.
Yeah, we'll go with Burrow. That's easy.
That's what it is. So, there you have it. Either way,
make the rules.
As to be expected, we're just checking with top lane, because that's where we expect to see the most action. And as it stands, just a little bit. But more so now in the bot lane, because a bit of rare form has been found here, where Styx can do damage onto Cadence. This shield is there. The Summoner Heal burnt as well by Yojin to make sure that his support does stay alive, but Holy is wrapping around and is actually going to be met by a 9God who's saying, well, this is my side of the jungle, get out. But they are waiting for what seems to be another wave crash and to have another crack.
Yeah, nice by Cadence to pop the shield there just to deny the execute on Styx's 4th shot, and he's just going to end up with a bit of a nothing trade here because he's got double cookies, so he's going to sustain back up as we are getting pushed into the turret.
Wow, 2-man grand entrance. Styx flashing across the wall, 4th shot primed, ready to go, but the grey health, the fixed skin is just enough as he survives on 50 HP. Everybody's here. It's a 4v4. Styx finally gets the kill, but Styx, having burnt that flash, has no other rudder hide. He does get scattered, and he has become weak. And now 9God is charging. He's got his Sion cosplay on. Jovi realizes, I have no dash. It's too early in the game. He'll chuck out one more orb, but he'll fall down too.
Yeah, that's really nice for Sovereign there. Like, he picks up 2 early kills in like a position where he's got to be scared of this Ahri Vi duo. He does not have access to flash though, so you have to see if he's going to navigate like that level 6 pressure, or if he's going to like play to freeze the lane and not so much be aggressive with the lead he's just gained from this bot cleanup.
Very nice start. This is what you want to talk about if it's a case of Sovereign finding a little bit of comfort, not only in the game, but in the champion that he's playing. Great way to respond in that Jovi certainly had his measure in that first game on the Azir. He returned back to lane now as a first strike Syndra, 2 kills. Happy days.
Yeah, and as we go into the replay, we see like both junglers fighting over the Gromp here. I think that's a really good job by 9God to like reposition the team fight here. Really good engage by 225 to like deny, he's generally getting pushed into the turret, but like this is just slightly not enough damage, and then Ion overcommitting a little bit, not really accounting for Sovereign like moving, and it's just a really nice flash stun here. Those 2 summoners gets the kill, and then they clean up another one. Easy as that. Yeah,
really is as easy as that. And I think the frustration for Ion, no doubt, will be it just took too long to get the kill. It just bought so much time for the rotate that even the mid lane has got involved, right? I mean, Sovereign was very late in comparison to Jovi, who got there very quickly, but is able to then burn basically every flash in the game, right? You look at the map and go, okay, what is up and available? Well, top lane because they're on an island, and just Yojin, who was chilling.
Yeah, and Woodons decides to go for the Digitabis here. Obviously, like a really good buy. He's versing by Camille. It's very hard to like take out this Renekton when he's going to have access to like early armor, extra move speed, like the auto attack, deny. It's just a very good buy for him. Doraemon though, on the plus side for him, he's going to have his first item before Renekton because he decided not to go boots, which is like the power spike for him in this matchup. When he does finally secure like I assume the Triforce, he's going to be able to win this 1v1 very comfortably.
It's that first big breakpoint, right? Obviously the Sheen looks good, but the Triforce thereafter, you're starting to say, this is a bit of a taste of what's to come this game. If you let it go on long enough, I will be one-shotting you, as you coined it, with the Cho'Gath ult on a 3-second cooldown. In comes 9God, jumping through that terrain, looking for the stun. but that wind-up only lasts a couple of seconds, so it will eventually expire. Unable to find what he's after, as 225 is signaling the focus. Nothing able to really lock him down as he can just dash to safety. The rocket beautifully blocked by Styx. As it's a four-man collapse, and we're just dodging all over the show to make sure nobody dies.
Yeah, honestly, really well played by Ion bot lane there. Like, they're just pretty much playing on the edge of danger, like baiting a lot of pressure bot lane, but also like just navigating like the skill shots really well and like surviving when they really shouldn't.
Well, from the attempts to try and make that gank happen, they're going to say, well, we're at least going to get something from having this many members in the area. We're going to go for the first dragon at 8 minutes, so not on spawn, but certainly on point. Jovi and Coley, I'm going to look at it though.
Fire's ult.
Contest. Let's see what they can find. 2 main grand entrance, make that a Jin route, make that a kill. The charm, Yojin picked apart, Ing with a cease and desist, and well, 2 kills as easy as you like. Maybe, Tally, just maybe they've overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, this is like a classic thing that I always say is like making 2 plays back to back in early game is never good. Like tempo is so important. Like when you go for that bot play, you need to go back to mid because you just lost control. Ahri now has control. She can move into river. They decide to start the dragon. The entire time Coley was farming, like he had level 6. I would have liked to see him hold his ult there actually, because the only reason why he used it was to just get an assist, because unfortunately like he did jump into the Jinx trap. Like he just wanted to get like any semblance of gold. But you know, he did send it, and you know, he did find the assist in the end.
Sent and received, and picked himself up a little bit of gold to make sure that they'll have a bit of a lead. You'll see it here happen. I mean, it's the fact that the bot lane of Iron is low, but they're still going in with confidence.
Yeah, it's just the collapse from like, you know, you had your turn, you really can't do 2 plays back to back. It's just extremely risky. Like it can work, obviously, like we've seen it happen in the past, but it's just not something you should be taking a risk of when the game state is just so favorable for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to throw a spanner in the works of things, right? You can see it's disrupted the jungle. Just a fraction. It's going to put Nine God further and further behind. Obviously, top lane, you would say, favors the Renekton just a fraction at the start, but as these items start to come on through, Doraemon should really come into his own. But I'm sure they're just sitting in the top lane, living their best life as a top lane, and thinking, why is our team fighting? Because we're just out here, just, you know, AFK'd away, waiting for it to get low to right click. Yeah,
it definitely feels like one of those games where the it's going to be decided without top lane impacting it. I feel like they're just going to keep farming, and I don't really expect the top laners to have too much of an impact until, like, you know, like the level 13 mark, where like Camille really like wants to group with like the 1.5, 2 items. I see Renekton like trying to force fights a bit more, but he really is going to be stuck like being the prison warden, pretty much, like dealing with Camille in the side lane all the time.
It's a good way to put it, right? Like, that's your laner, you must deal with it. Like, but I don't want to. He's too strong. Well, that's the card you have been dealt on this occasion. I suppose talking about then the sort of the impact of the 4-man, how strong or how much of an impact would it be really for the Syndra? Because obviously we know she has her own little mini quest having to get all these shards, and that in turn evolves all the abilities to become even stronger. Is there a point in which you think you know, Syndra's done enough to not really care about the Ahri potential?
I'll hold that point, Destiny, as we're getting clapped on by 3 people here. See if we don't can outplay this.
It's a good point you raise, as he is going to get sniped by all 3 members, and yep, great rotation from 225 to make sure the kill comes, and Nine God just a little bit too late.
Yeah, to touch back on the Syndra point, Syndra mainly, like, you hit level 7, you get the 40 stacks in your splinters, and you get 2 Qs. That's mainly the one thing you care about. The rest of it is all luxury. You don't really like care too much about the rest of the splinters. Like, they are nice. They do like change how much damage you do, but the 40 splinter like Q upgrade is the main important part.
Main one, as we see a bit of a fight taking place here at the camp. There is that 2-man impale, a bit of a teaser as to what is to come. The rocket! Oh, how did that not hit? How did that not hit anybody? I'll never quite know. Really did thread the needle. If that's a Nautilus hook, it lands every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how that one went past as well, but you know, stuff happens. But it's good to see that Syndra has like picked up an item already. Like, I think that she got through like pretty much the hardest part of lane. We do see Coley like opting into like the Viols and other lanes, where I think that's probably a mistake. I think that like you should really be snowballing your mid jungle. You should be really punishing the Syndra. I think that like either blowing flash or just like how much kill pressure you have from like such a big distance. It's the ease of execution should make this a pretty easy kill to pick up.
Let's see then if they can find any kind of craziness here in the isolated 1v1 mid matchup. As Jovi still has had the better end of the stick, and he is looking to get aggressive, holding that spirit charge as he dashes in with the final one, doing so much damage onto Sovereign. Not enough to get the kill, and not enough to commit a flash to try and burn anything else. He's done his full combo. And it wasn't enough on this occasion. Wooden has literally respawned. He got ganked by the 3-man top. He comes down to bot lane, And he might do it again. Styx literally in his face, under the tower. That was all his mana tally. He's got nothing left. He doesn't even need the full shot. He gets the kill.
Sovereign does have ult here. If he finds the stun on Styx, he can get the execution.
Can he unleash the power? Can he find the kill? He's after Styx. It's denied the vision. It's beautifully done. Frustration for Sovereign, chasing, hunting, looking for what he can get. But he's only going to be able to find a shield and a get a jail free card. He's out of the fight. Cadence has gone in. He might die and pay as a bit of a sacrificial lamb. But he's going to try and dive out to safety. But this is scary. This is a Camille that's grouped up and has now got 3 kills.
I don't know if you saw that on the back end of the fight, Skimmy, but Styx was on very, very low health with the Grump running at him, and he scores the level up, which saved him from being executed by the Grump auto attack.
We'll get a replay, no doubt, I'm sure, and I can have a little bit of a laugh for that one, but what a close fight.
Yeah, 225 just going in to try stop 9,000 cancelling recalls. Did you see the Jinx ult just slightly missing? Very unfortunate.
He needs to recalibrate that gun.
Yeah, this is actually good by 9God though, like he has delayed the bases a lot. He might be able to pick himself up the Dragon, which will be a very good consultation prize for their team.
So he would be, but here we go again, faking the fact that we're going to go back to reset and base. No, we're actually going for the fight. 9God with little to no HP left goes in for the 2-man impale. When he dies, they don't find anything in the trade so far. Doraemon also forced to burn the flash.
No.
Yojin frustrated, he's burnt their heal. He doesn't want to commit the flash. He's a lonely AD carry. He hits the flash now. It was a bait. 225 had nothing.
That is so unfortunate. That was such a good bait by 9God. He's so tanky, he had the flash, he's all that damage, he finds a really nice ult, but in the end it didn't result in anything for his team, and both members escape, then he goes down.
Oh my god. So let's run it back on the replay, because that's a very long play drawn out. It all starts originally with Woodon getting dived.
Yeah, so Woodon tries to go forward to try clear the wave. He wants to avoid the dive by, because they're coming from behind him, so he wants to go forward, clear the wave. Fortunately, he doesn't find any of the wave. It's just easy picked off here by Styx, you know, with the execute, and it's just very unfortunate here. Sovereign tries with his flash combo here to get the execute, but he just didn't have enough damage. Styx goes very low, not enough, and then yeah, he's just easy picking with both solo laners coming in, clean this one up. As you can see, on the end of this fight, Styx is very low. You see this Grump run at him, and I cannot believe he lived here.
There's no way! He literally stops to hit the W. There's no way. That's a man of confidence. He knew. He'd run the numbers. He's a mathematician. He knew he was getting out of that situation. Perfectly calculated, as is the Camille, who's an absolute terror now. 0-2 is the Renekton, the classic tax of win early, but then lose late. This could be dicey, Sovereign. Thankfully, though, he's going to face check, or rather check with his orb.
You know, as we can take a bit of a breath here, Skimmy, we can take stock of items. We see that Camille has picked up the Triforce already. She's in a very comfortable position, most completed items coming out of Ion's side. But I think the most important thing to take stock of here is the fact that Kenga only has one real carry right now. It's all Sovereign. And the fact that there is just so much isolated pick potential coming out of the Ion comp with the Hextech Ultimatum, the Vi ult, the Ahri engage, the Rakan engage. It's so hard for him to be able to comfortably do damage this game.
Yeah, it's going to be nigh impossible to try and evade all of that. Unfortunately for 9God, he's wrapped around the corner of that and found himself the entire team of Ion. So he'll fall on down as quick as they come. And Ion have just said, you know what, forget grouping, or forget laning rather, we'll just group and gank and gain everything on the map.
Yeah, the gold lead is only 2,000 gold right now, but it's I promise you it's much higher than that. Pretty much every single lane has individual priority. There isn't really a safe way for Kenga to function in the mid game right now. They don't have priority in mid or top. They don't win side 2v2s. They don't have options for TP flanks. They're kind of hoping that Ion, overextend a bit too much and they can counter an aggressive play.
Yeah, unfortunately, unable to find those moments as rare as they have been. There certainly have been some chances for that to occur, but the payback punishment hasn't been anywhere near enough to match the prowess that Ion have in this game. 2k gold lead, that's where it's dispersed right now. Styx and Jovi, top of the charts, the most in the game. Woodon, surprisingly, despite being 0-2, has more than that of his mid laner.
Oh, Jinx ult. There we go.
This time it hits. Third time's the charm.
There we go. Yeah, surprised that Collei went so far ahead of his mid lane counterpart there. I don't think he has the pressure to solo kill Sovereign there. The Syndra is very fed, so you still have to respect the damage, and he just got picked off like that. Easy as, pretty much easy as that.
Yojin's if nothing more, at least I'll land one of these rockets. Cross map, there it is. You can tick that one off the bucket list. As we see Styx getting bullied out of the mid lane here. 9God actually in a very aggressive position, also wrapping around with some advanced vision. Again, just obviously just jump across this wall and ignore all that terrain in a second. But with the lane states being flipped, you can see that nobody really wants to answer this Camille.
Yeah, no one really wants to deal with this Camille later. But once again, like Wudon is like he's on warden duty. He has to like constantly sit in the side lane for these like. This is why everyone hates the Tisha so much, because regardless of how much you win lane against like the Fioras, the Camilles, they're just gonna sit in the side lane, and eventually they will beat you 1v1 just because of how their kits work. And you're like, guys, I want to go team fight. Like, please, like, let me play the game. But the entire time, you're just stuck dealing with these side laners.
So then, with that in mind, as we fast approach the 20-minute mark, what would you say is the next tangible goal that Kanga should be working towards?
Well, I feel like they do have item spikes. Like, it's just all about linking up your team together. Like, they need to somehow link up their mid trio to the side laner in Syndra. Like, they have the TP on Renekton. Wudon is still getting priority in the 1v1, which is really nice from him. It's just all about, like, either getting defensive vision in your top side or, like, linking up so you guys can bring the Syndra down to group, get control of, like, the mid wave, and, like, walk into the objective together, which the next one would be the Infernal Dragon.
It certainly will be. That's a good one. This is the best one. This is the best way to close out the week, actually. We're just doing so much damage. We're really going to burn the Rift and make it a bit of a living hell, as we get to see here.
Oh, hold on.
He just jump across the wall and say, look, I can do the same as you here, Skarner. But he jumps across and suppresses one. He didn't get suppressed as a result. And then double global ultimates basically coming in both the AD carries as they play a little bit of DDR, going left and right and dodging all over the show to make sure they don't get hit by any of those projectiles. This time the route is there. The bot lane of Ion lock in place to Skarner. And this champion, as strong as it is, unable to find the impact it's after.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This combo is easy as that. Like, Collei just goes over the wall, completely blind, straight into a Skarner, still lands all his CC onto the Syndra, and like Sovereign just cannot do anything against all that CC and all that damage coming out the Ahri right now.
And it feels almost like a bit of a redundancy, right? You're playing Syndra to try and be that one-shot burst mage, but if you're building like we saw earlier today, where you're going for like the Archangels into Zonya's Banshee's Rush, like just play a different champion.
Yeah, pretty much. But like this is the thing where like Jovi is building a bit, like he's building a bit tanky. He's got Merc Trays, he's going Leandries, he's not doing like as much damage as he could. But like the upside of that is like he's so far ahead that it doesn't really matter. Like the experience and the extra items he had make up for that. But the way that I like to coin it is like if you're ahead, build defensive, not to throw. Like if you're behind, build defensive to get back into the game, and if you want to win, build both. It's a very like good way to like break it down and like know when you should be building like offensively or defensively on your matchups.
Some good rules to live by, no doubt about it. If in doubt, get a defensive and you'll be A-okay. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. As we see here, a bit of a chaotic situation inside the Ion side of the jungle. Kanga feeling a little bit empowered to say that we're not going to give you a very easy soul point. But look at Doraemon. I don't think they've spotted him. What I do now, and he's going to actually blast put himself into the fight and say, well, who do I want to lock in place for the Hextech Ultimatum today? There is the charm. There is the grandest of all entrances. Wudon slices the axe to try and get some life still, but it's just not enough. 3 members get flipped on back. Styx says, here's a triple. Give me a quad. Denied. But that is a perfect clean ace.
Yeah, what a nice engage from 225. I was going to say, like, this is the kind of scenario that Kanga wants to be in. They want that front to back 5v5, but it just didn't matter in the end. Like, the gold lead, the XP lead, the item lead right now is just way too much to deal with. And the fact that, like, the team that should be, like, playing on sides, playing for those 2v2s, and avoiding 5v5 as much as possible is winning those 5v5s so convincingly, like, says a lot about the game state.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And it's going to go from bad to worse, really, isn't it? Because not only are they going to get the Dragon, they're going to put themselves on a potential soul point. They get the Herald. The Herald takes 2 turrets in mid. It might get another charge. It does. And also, Doraemon gets a tower bot lane. So for all the hope you might have before as to what is Kanga's answer back in, it's looking a little bit dire now.
Yeah, Doraemon does a really good job here playing, like, he's playing distraction here. Like, they're all focusing on him, but the whole time 225 is the main one they should be looking at. Like, he finds that huge engage onto both the Syndra and the Renekton, which forces out the Eat. And once that Eat is down, that means that Collei can go in with the Assault Battery. And, like, when we know, like, you can't outplay point and click pretty much.
No, you certainly can't outplay point and click. And, you know, it just reminds me of the old Taric. You're, like, flashing away from the Dazzle. It's still going to chase you. It's still going to take you down. And on that occasion, it's still going to point-blank charm you to get you out of the equation very quickly. Styx is just slightly behind there as he sees his mid laner really get aggressive for a second and almost wrangle control to say, well, we've just got the Dragon, now we want the Baron, we want everything. As the curtain gets drawn, Doraemon rocks up and says, Sovereign, you have nothing. That flash, good luck. You're still dead on my screen. Once again, 225 leading line here with Collei. and making sure that no stragglers survive. We might just be running it back from one perfect ace into a second. That's a nice impale, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's. I think this will be a game here, but honestly, like, it's just so hard to deal with all this dive as the time counts. Like, you only have one eat, and there's just so many different champions diving onto your carries. Like, he's trying to put out all the fires, but he has one little tiny, like, little rainwater can in his guard, and he can't deal with it all.
Every little bit helps, guys. It all helps, but on this occasion, this was a complete blowout. 22 minutes, 20 kills to 4. Game 1 was closer, but Game 2 was all things Ion.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what we have seen from Ion so far. I think they came out and they've shown that, like, yeah, we've upgraded our roster. We have a really strong team. We're a contender. Like, look out for us, guys.
Yeah, the Dark Horse, the top 4, almost gatekeeper, if you will. They've made the changes. They're feeling good about it. My man Styx there, he's feeling inspired. He's got the mo, he's got the vibes. And he's got back-to-back performances on the Jhin, which definitely put him in contention for a potential MVP.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, like, this is just really nice to see that it's not like the Joby show anymore. Like, Doraemon can play those carries, all those tanks, and it's just nice to know that, like, with the Styx pickup, with the 225, like a new support pickup, like, they just have a lot more flexibility in their team.
Yeah, they certainly do. A perfect 2-0 on the night. All points going the way of Ion. We'll break it down right after this.